We are learning more tonight about accusations of illegal dumping at the hands of a Henderson County Commissioner's work crew. This allegedly happened on Trinity River Authority property to the northwest of Trinidad. KLTV7's JD Conti has more tonight on this ongoing investigation.
Plastic RCP pipe, or plastic pipe down in the bottom. There's some hand trash, there's brush piles.
James Odom, a Henderson County resident, says he took these pictures on Friday, December 15th, 2 days after the initial report of illegal dumping near the banks of the Trinity River. An investigation by both the Fire Marshal's Office and TCEQ is currently underway into Henderson County Precinct One work crews, who, according to County Judge Wade McKinney, are suspected of the act. Fire Marshal Shane Renberg first arrived to the scene on Monday.
They appeared to be commissioner work crews out here at this location.
Renberg said that illegal dumping did occur, but was not sure who was at fault at this point in the investigation. Commissioner Wendy Spivey has denied any knowledge of the allegations.
Because this is a serious allegation, so we're going to figure out what happened and put this behind us, and it'll never happen again.
There appear to be track sites at the location, in addition to imported dirt.
Here, this is the work that was being done when I got out here. There was a track hoe out here and a dump truck out here.
Do you have any idea what they were doing?
I don't know exactly what they were doing at the time.
Commissioner Spivey says crews were at the site on Monday, removing debris that was brought to their attention.
Concerned citizens showed some pictures of some culverts that were placed out there, and I sent somebody out there to pick them up on Monday this week, and we were stopped by the fire marshal then. That's the only thing I know about us ever being in that area lately.
JD Conti, KLTV 7 News.
And Spivey tells us as this investigation continues, Precinct One work crews are still conducting business as usual.